Someone, a guardian angel maybe, told me exactly what was going to pump on Sunday. A few hours before it happened. It wasn't a vague prediction, it was a comment on my DE News video on Sunday. And about an hour and a half after he commented, every single glove he told me that was going to pump, pumped. That's not luck. That's a signal. And thankfully, his comment led me to some pretty amazing insights around how China pumps and what they pump.
And now for our Counter-Strike report. New York's very own Mike Water.
Back to DE News China. I'm your host, Mike Water9. As we know, the money is back. As I said the last few weeks, they are accumulating. It is not the time to turn off your screens. You have time to study what's actually happening and the mechanics behind what they do. Luckily for you, I did just that. And this time, I didn't find the collection they're pumping or the next skin they're pumping. I found the system that defines every pump they do, which will allow me to find any pump going on anywhere. But first, we will set the stage and give you a brief overview of what's gone on in the last 7 days or so. The two highest movers on the SteamDT indexes are the Glove Case and the Armory Phase 2. The Armory Phase 2 just refers to the second update of the Armory, so the Fever Case, Train 2025. Those are your highest movers of the week. The bulk of the glove case movement comes from the Bloodhound gloves, which saw the biggest week over week movement. However, all gloves are up. It's just that the Bloodhound gloves saw the most percentage increase. Subsequently, the glove case saw another increase in price, going up around $3 over the last 2 days or so, right? Most of that has to do with the gloves increasing in price, but that also downstream affects every other skin in the case. The MP7 Cirrus, which I spoke about like a month ago at this point, is honestly like ripping hard. So it was around like $1.50, $2 when I talked about it. It notoriously went up to like $9. But if you weren't a part of that group of morons, you'd be up around 6x right now on that position. Before the money moved back in, the Dusk Ruins was actually one of the biggest movers beforehand. And yesterday it reached a $300 price point on both. I bought the Dusk Ruins at around $30 and I sold at around $175. Which is nice for me. A nice 6x. I don't give a fuck if it went to $300. I made 6x. I take that money, I put it somewhere else. And that's for the indexes and the state of the market in general. But this episode is going to be a little bit different because we are going to spotlight in specific the mechanics behind Chinese pump groups and what they do. Usually I talk about a specific collection or a specific gun they have interest in, but since that wasn't happening over the last few weeks, I've had time to look at all of them in aggregate, study their graphs, and study any similarities they might have in the lead up to a pump. And now I can confidently show you guys a framework that has started to emerge. I would like to stress framework, not a crystal fucking ball. It's a working theory that I have, but it doesn't necessarily mean it'll be 100%. Not financial advice, bitch. Do your own fucking research. Collections, aesthetics don't matter as much as we think they do. It's more so price action. And while technical analysis isn't good for a skin to determine its next price movement, the shapes of those lines mimic each other very, very heavily. And that is something we can study. And I'm sharing this pattern with you. I don't keep secrets. Greed is a deadly sin. And I know what I'm doing. If the pattern's secret or if it's public, I don't give a shit. I'm still gonna make the same amount of money. I don't gotta sell it to you. Now, when most people hear the word pump, they think chaos, random. Who the fuck knows when it's gonna go up? When they're gonna dump? A lot of panic surrounds that word. And you need to reframe that entirely. Think of each skin like its own stock in the stock market. The AK Slate, AK Redline, those are like Apple, Tesla. When you buy or when you sell, there's always someone on the other side of that trade ready to buy what you sell or sell what you buy. A well-worn blue gen case hardened, on the other hand, not exactly as liquid. It might take a long time for someone to buy what you put on the market. You'll oftentimes find yourself exiting at below the market rate just to get rid of it. Not only that, it fractures even further, and that's because each skin, most of the time, of course, barring some of them, have 5 wears. So not only does purchasing power divide itself amongst guns, it then divides itself amongst skins and then condition. So most items in a specific wear have pretty shockingly low liquidity and volume because there's just so much shit going around. You can't have buy orders everywhere. And then you layer on the 7-day trade hold. In the stock market, you can enter a position and then exit 10 seconds later. Here, you have to wait 7 days minimum. So you could think of 1 day in the stock market as 7 days in the CS market. Time moves 7 times slower. So you cannot panic and hold for a week, and if it doesn't go up, immediately sell and be pissed off. Because sometimes these price movements take months, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, because that's a week in the stock market in equivalent. So all of these things, they combine and they create for a market in which it's very easy to become a price maker. They accumulate the supply such that they make the price. They set the standard. So a lot of these Chinese groups, it may be false to call them pump groups. It may be more accurate to call them price makers. So with relatively small liquidity and very long time periods, what could a coordinated group actually do with that? Well, people get bored. So I pulled up around 15 to 20 charts on SteamDT, focusing on like the iconic pumped skins that we know have been pumped in the past. M4 Buzzkill, M4 Coalition, AK Elite Museo, the ones we know have already pumped and could go again, doesn't matter. They just need to have had a stark price movement in a very short amount of time. And then I compared them side by side. Now, of course, the day-to-days of their price movements are different, but the general pattern, once you go out, scale out to the macro, very, very similar. And there are a ton of skins right now that mimic the early days of these skins. So here's how it works. You go on SteamDT, you click any skin you want, and you look at the trend chart. The trend chart shows an orange line, that is the price, and the blue line, that is the on sale stock. On the bottom, those little bar charts you see, those indicate volume. Now think about it. In a healthy market, when prices go up, volume, which precedes supply, which precedes price. If you see a spike in volume, you see a temporary increase in price because people are buying the listings and then prices go up. Since people are buying the listings, the amount of listings goes down, right? This doesn't take a very long time for sellers to respond and then put more items up for listing. Prices are really high now, and since prices are abnormally high, there's less buyers than there were before down here. So since there's less buyers and more sellers up here, they start to undercut each other, and then price moves its way back down, and supply moves its way back up, and you reach equilibrium. Right? The general pattern is when price goes up, supply goes down. When supply goes up, price goes down. That's pretty much all you need to know. Now, how these groups start. The charts look normal when they start. They look how they're supposed to look. Price moves sideways, whatever. Then you start to see a general uptrend, and that's because they're purchasing and accumulating at a higher volume than what's actually normal. You can't really call it a pump just off of this general uptrend. It could just be a rise in popularity of a skin, a gun got buffed, but this is what happens at the beginning. Then after a while, usually around 2 to 3 weeks to a month, you see one volume spike and a price. You see one very obvious volume spike. The volume spike obviously results in an increase in price in the short term and a dip in supply. I call this their first test. And why are they testing it by spiking the volume? Well, it's to gauge how much supply is left in the market. That first test usually never goes the way they want it to because they spike the price, supply goes down, but the next day supply immediately goes right back up and cancels out. So the gun gets rejected, moves down, consolidates maybe at a little bit of a higher level, sometimes right back to where it was before. But now the groups know, okay, we have a lot more accumulation to do. And so they accumulate. Again, slow uptick, and then they test again. Now, if they do a second test and volume spikes again, and supply goes right back up right after that day, they know they still don't have control over the supply, and thus have to accumulate once more. But if supply doesn't go back up to offset that increase in price, that means there isn't enough sellers to sell at those prices, which means the ones they've accumulated and that are sitting in their inventory is the majority of the actual circulating supply. So they tested, the test worked, supply is low and price is high, and there's no sellers that can offset that price by undercutting. Now they have control. And now this is when the market starts to not make sense, and this is very indicative of the pump. So listings and price go up in tandem. They should inverse each other, but now they're not. And that's because the groups are setting a new price floor, right? The gun's been $30 for 10 years. Then all of it gets eaten up. They have all of the guns now, and now they set the price at $600, right? At first, no one's gonna buy them. So the amount of listings slowly climbs up because they're just listing the stuff in their inventories. And since they own the majority of the guns, the floor holds because there's not enough sellers available to undercut them. And after a while, people become used to that new price floor. So now you have organic buyers, and you have the people they bring in through their pump groups. You have new players who've never known when it was $30. They just see the $600 level and assume that's the actual level. They start buying, and now your pump is done. They could exit, they could continue, whatever it may be, but this is how you gain supply. And then this is when prices start to taper off because now you have new buyers. So now your supply is not owned by your group anymore. You have buyers actually buying the supply. And that's when you start to see prices generally taper off. Now, allow me to be transparent about the limits of this framework. But before that, a word from our sponsor, SkinsMonkey. Now, today's video has been sponsored by the lovely ladies and gentlemen over at skinsmonkey.com. SkinsMonkey is the industry standard trading forum and marketplace for anything and all things Counter-Strike. 24/7 support and an instant trading system so fast those Bulgarian overpay goblins are sure to go out of business. Now, if that's not enough incentive, throw my code Mike in on the website for $5 off on your first trade. But if you trade up to $100 on the website, they'll double your bonus from 5 to 10. Now, if you don't have any skins, and I just gave you some free game on investment advice, you could deposit money and use the website as a marketplace as well. In that case, my code Mike will net you a 5% deposit bonus, bringing it from 30 to 35%. So go get swagged out. The theory does have holes, obviously. It's a theory. I found this pattern by studying skins that pump. Survivorship bias. I've yet to go back and look at skins that haven't pumped yet or failed in their pump, the ones that had the signals but never got the volume spike that needed to happen. That control group matters, but also this is the weakest argument against my theory because we simply haven't had enough time. Some of these skins that haven't gotten the pump yet can simply be an accumulation. The second problem, which is the bigger problem of the two, it's going to be the entry and exit. Right, entry should be decently obvious, right? You want to wait for at least the first volume spike before getting into a skin because then you're not guessing when they start to accumulate. It might take you a long time, timeline-wise, to see actual gains on the gun you bought. But if you have that volume spike, then you know after it goes down and consolidates, they're starting something. So while your entry price may not be as good as it could have been, you're saving yourself a lot of time. And the exit framework is much harder to time, right? I think you yourself should set your exit framework. If you start with $30 and you're happy with 90, then you exit at 90. Even if it goes to $500, who gives a shit? You weren't gonna hold all the way up there anyway. The exit is much harder to time. When someone controls the amount of supply in which they do, right, they could literally dump on your head immediately. I say if you see a serious price gain and that price gain happened in the last 7 days and you're able to sell, then you should get the fuck out because the people who bought all that shit causing the price to go up, they can't sell yet. Not only could they not dump, they also can't undercut you. They can't do anything about your listing. If they dump organically though, which we've actually seen quite a bit, then it's kind of like a teetering scale in which retail owns the supply again, and then price will start to go back down to equilibrium. But instead of trying to time it, just get the fuck out when you make a decent profit. Set a hard rule for yourself. If you have to, list it for a certain price. That way when someone buys it, it immediately leaves your inventory and there's nothing you can do about it. Now also there's the fact that I'm posting this publicly. If this pattern is what defines their movements, well now they can use that to their advantage, right? Do a fake volume spike, fake us out a little bit, have retail buy in, sell on our heads, and then accumulate at a lower price. But even with these caveats, the underlying mechanics are sound, and it's as good as we can get in a market such as this one. Low liquidity plus this 7-day hold, it's actually an advantage, and it helps you understand the market better because things are moving slower. And the player count keeps going up. So a lot of this liquidity, a lot of this time to act and time to slow down will also start to go away. Price making is easier in this market than it is any other market on earth verifiably. So the future prospects of this pattern hold up pretty well because they're gonna keep doing it until it's unprofitable. And right now, it's extremely profitable. And now we have a watch list, a fucking banger watch list. They had called the M4 Decimator 2 weeks ago, the M4 Guardian around a month ago at this point. Well, when I called them, unbeknownst to me at the time, they were right in their volume spike phase. So you might have got in at a rather poor entry, but they're starting to consolidate once again at a higher price point in which they started at. And I think very soon, both of those are going to see a second retest in terms of buying volume, right? Take those two guns. Let's take their charts and let's overlay them with guns that have previously pumped. Looks pretty similar, doesn't it? That's why I say to be patient, right? A week in this market is a day in another market. You have to wait a few weeks to see shit out. The 5-7 fairy tale, which our boy on Twitch told us about, same exact pattern. A couple days ago, rose from 300 to 500 in like a day. The pump happened there. The supply is down. It's not going back up. They control the supply of that 5-7 now. And you'll see, because the pump just started to happen, go back to that 5-7 in a couple of days and watch as supply increases with price, which shouldn't happen. Lastly, the AK-47 Rat Rod, minimal wear, not factory new, has had 2 tests. 2. Both of them did not go the way they planned, which means these groups have a ton of supply of these rat rods. The next test will most likely be the breakthrough and subsequent price explosion. I'm not calling these confirmed, I'm calling these worth watching. And if you have one, don't fucking sell it minus $30 like a fucking moron. Have some conviction, hold for more than a week. Now shift your thinking a little bit. China's not your enemy. They're not trying to dump on your heads. Me and China, we want the same fucking thing. I'm just gonna do what they do. And I could buy into their group, get dumped on my fucking head all the time, or I could just front run what the guys at the top are buying first. That's what I'm gonna do, and that's what I'm gonna share with you. Pretty easy. Enter, hold, and then sell when the price over here is higher than the price over here. Not that difficult. They figured out that this market is very illiquid, and the players who control supply control price. It used to be a flea market. Now it's a full-on monopoly, and they're doing it one skin at a time. And that means the skins that haven't been targeted yet most likely will. The ones with boring charts that still aren't showing that much action in terms of spikes and prices going everywhere, those aren't dead plays. Ignoring the boring charts is why you get fucked in the market. Not this one, anyone. So stop chasing lines that go up, stop FOMOing into shit, study the boring ones, look for patterns, and now you're not just leaving it up to chance anymore. When you see the setup happen in real time, volume spike, boom, wait a day, wait for price to go back down. If it doesn't, you miss the pump. Don't care, find another play. Don't FOMO in. Volume spikes, gets rejected, boom. They just finished test 1, now you enter. Now you hold, and you wait for test number 2. These things don't happen overnight. They literally can't. It takes 7 days to move shit in your inventory. That slow speed is your advantage because their accumulation phases take weeks to months, which gives you time to study. If you don't study, I couldn't give a shit about you losing money. I gave you a framework. Now it's up to you to observe, to decide, and to act on that framework. So now, let's see where these calls go, because it takes more than a week for some of these calls to manifest into long-term gains. If you've been watching, you already know what to click next, and if you haven't, it's right here. Take a look at my previous videos, which will explain other ways in which to move throughout the CS market, which can be very different from ones you're traditionally used to. I'd start here before the rest of the market does. Cheers.